Hey folks, when you become a priest, when you enter into a profession like this, and it doesn't matter if you're a priest or a padre or a pastor or a minister or any other, when you enter into a profession like this, you lose your personal identity somewhere. Now that doesn't mean you stop being Ed or Jim or Sally or Julie. It means that you become part of a much larger organization. You become part of something much larger than yourself. And not only do you become a representative of that organization, an ambassador for that organization in your community, that organization also becomes a representative for you. In my ministry, I have had encounters with people who've assumed that because I wear a black shirt and a white collar, I must be part of some particular religious organization that has done bad things. Not that the Anglicans haven't, we have. As a person who wears a black shirt and a white collar, I also run into moments. I have experiences with people who tell me how horrible I am. Not how horrible Ed is, but how horrible I am as priest because of the horrible, awful, ungodly, selfish, sadistic, because of some of the things that priests have done. Whether that's a matter of sexual abuse or attempted genocide through our residential schools here in Canada. The reputation of my profession speaks to people about who I am. It's not fair, but it's the way it is. And the responsibility, therefore, falls on me to be a good example of what a priest should be like. Am I always successful? I am not. But I hope I'm more successful than I fail. I found an article on CBC, and I'll include it in the description, about a police officer, an Ontario provincial police officer, who was videotaped, we don't use videotapes anymore, who was recorded pushing a 12-year-old boy to the ground. I mean forcefully shoving a 12-year-old boy to the ground. Now, for the life of me, I can't see why that could ever be construed as a lawful act. How that could ever be construed as righteous. How that is just. How that is appropriate. I just can't. And while I seen that, and the whole world sees that, in that video you also see that officer's colleague walking towards him as he pushes the 12-year-old to the ground. I'm not an expert when it comes to law enforcement. I'm not an expert when it comes to detaining somebody. I'm not an expert when it comes to keeping somebody from harming me. Can't think of the word. I'm not an expert when it comes to proper, just use of force. But again, for the life of me, I cannot imagine a situation where it would be okay for me to push a 12-year-old child like that officer is recorded pushing a 12-year-old child. For the life of me, I can't understand how it would be lawful for that officer to do it. And yet his partner does nothing. Now, OPP, Ontario Provincial Police, have said that they've asked the Peel Police Department to investigate. They want transparency. They have come out publicly and said they hold their officers to the highest standard and accountable for all of their actions. So hopefully the investigation leads somewhere productive. But what I really got out of this was that second officer. You see, as I carry water for the ministers of the past, as I am painted with the same brush that they were painted with because of their actions, as I carry their reputation on my back like baggage in some circles, the same is true for police officers. The same is true for many professions. And it is absolutely in our best interests to make sure that when our colleagues are behaving in ways that are not righteous, when they are behaving in ways that is going to make our lives harder, going to make our jobs harder, going to make our jobs more dangerous, going to affect our reputation among the people that we are called to serve, it is in our best interest to make sure that the public sees us in the moment doing what is right, speaking out, letting the world know that what has transpired was not okay. In the Anglican Church and in many churches, a lot of atrocities have taken place. A lot of nasty things have happened at the hands of people who dress just like I do. A lot of really horrible things have been done by people who look just like me. I like to believe that if that were to happen today, and if I were to find out about it happening today, that I would be willing to say something. In our professions, we need to remember constantly that our actions and our inactions not only make our jobs easier or harder, make our lives easier or harder. The reputation we build will also be laid upon the shoulders of those who come after us. What we do in the here and now, what we do as ministers, what we do as police officers, not only matters when it comes to the present moment, not only matters when it comes to our future, it's going to matter to those people who will someday step into our roles. It's essential. It is absolutely essential to help them be the best that they can be, that we, right here and now, try to be the best that we can be, and that we are seen doing it. May the Lord bless you, may the Lord keep you, may the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you, may you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that we will always be mindful that we belong to a community that is greater than just ourselves, that our actions, our inactions, our words, our behaviors, our reactions and our responses don't just speak to our character, but they also speak to the character of the community that we represent. Amen.